So in that video I just stitched, this squirrel leaves the woman that's been feeding him a cookie, right? It shows empathy, gratitude, consideration, even Stevens, a multitude of emotions and intelligence. And I was talking to this kid I work with the other day, and he was talking about stem cells and like all the research going on with that. And I was like, I mean, that's kind of like those situations where they grow an ear on a rat and like, you know, they grow a heart, an extra heart inside of a cow so that they can transplant it to a human. Like, that's the kind of stuff like stem cells are researching. Basically, you take a cell and that cell can become any other kind of cell. So it can grow into something totally different. And I'm not an expert in stem cells, but like that's my understanding of it. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. And this kid was saying that his brother works with stem cells and blah, 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 blah. And so we were talking about these animal examples of like what they're doing, growing things on animals. And the kid goes, well, they probably don't like that, right? I mean, growing extra appendages and weird stuff on the animal probably doesn't feel good, right? And I was like, I imagine it doesn't. I can't imagine that that's a positive experience for the test animal, even if the conditions are good. And this guy in the lobby is this boomer in the lobby who's very like, the world is the way the world is, but he doesn't realize that he's living in this boomer bubble, and his opinion of the world has already gone and changed. Like, he is still living in this little bubble that is the world he knows, but nothing in the world is actually still that way. It's just not directly right in front of him. He doesn't see that the entire world's been spinning and he's been standing in place. So this guy is sitting in the lobby and he just shouts over, well, you know, that's the thing about being the dominant species. The lesser species, like, they're the ones that get experimented on, and better for it to be the animal than for it to be your cousin or your best friend. And the kid goes, well, yeah, I guess so. And the dude's like, well, we're the dominant species. That's why it happens to them and not to us. And the kid's like, but that would still like suck for them. I mean, what if another dominant species came along and suddenly humans weren't dominant anymore, and then they started doing stuff like that to us? And the old guy's like, well, if that were the case, we wouldn't even know what was going on. We wouldn't be intelligent or aware enough to know that that situation was even happening. And it just blew my mind that this dude basically said that if aliens came down and started growing extra limbs on your forehead, that without us changing at all, just the introduction of another species, he was postulating that the introduction of a superior species, would mean that our intelligence was somehow diminished, that we would be incapable of emotion or cognizance or understanding of the situation or the pain that accompanies whatever they're experimenting on us with. And I'm not saying that aliens are going to do that. I don't think that would be the case even if they were here. But like, this case in point proves to me that animals have compassion, have empathy, have gratitude. They have intelligence to a degree that humans don't even recognize. And the people that are doing these heinous things have talked themselves into this mentality where they think that just because it's a different species, they are incapable of understanding. Those people are totally cut off from nature, cut off from life, and have no regard for anything outside of their short-sighted ego. And the worst part, I think, is that I didn't say anything because, like, yes, I want to stay professional. Yeah, I'm not trying to get into an argument with some random old guy because he doesn't respect life. Because the same people that don't respect life don't even respect other people. This guy, I heard him also talking about, like, judgments he was making about people that didn't get into Harvard. You know what I mean? And in his mind, that's the way the world is. You don't go to an Ivy League school, you're not getting hired. You don't make a certain amount of money, you're not going to have a fulfilling life. And he thinks, and an assumption on my part, he seems like the kind of guy that would assume anybody that is in touch with nature, that does assume that empathy and intelligence exist in other life forms, is hippy dippy, and like he would immediately dismiss them because they have a different vantage point. And I'm not just trying to rail into the guy or say anything about like the boomers, but I think that it's important that we do say something. And maybe you can't if you're at work and like that's your job and you like your job and you want to keep on doing it. But like all I can hope is that something will come along for that guy that opens his eyes, because he was responding before even considering, before thinking about it. Because if he spoke English and comprehended what the kid was saying, he would understand that the introduction of another hypothetical species would not diminish the intelligence of the humans involved. And therefore, they would be perfectly aware that they were getting extra fingers grown out of their forehead. He was rejecting the entire concept that he could be wrong so vehemently that he was not even listening to the words being spoken, was not entertaining the actual thoughts. He was, in effect, not consciously listening at all. That squirrel showed more empathy, intelligence, and gratitude for life than that man did. But he thinks he's the superior species. And this is when I say, I don't think there is a superior species. I think that there are people, entities, animals, creatures of all shapes and sizes and kinds throughout the galaxy. And some of them are emotionally aware and emotionally intelligent, and some of them aren't. And I think the people parading around saying that they're the superior ones usually aren't. Maybe that's the message. Maybe there wasn't a message. Maybe this was just a rant. Full card. I don't know if I can even get this to balance. Open hearts. Do not engage in conflict with fools. You know better. Anything else, Spirit? And communication. I lost my card. Maybe it was right to be delicate about communicating in the workplace. But maybe there was a right way to do it. Maybe it wasn't necessarily the right thing to shy back and say nothing. Maybe it was all about presentation. And generally, in these circumstances, you usually have another opportunity to rectify it. That's how the cycles work. If you were supposed to speak in a situation like that, you didn't fuck up and like mess up everything for yourself, but 90% of the time you will find another opportunity in an almost identical situation there or with somebody else, maybe even with that same person, to do that interaction again and offer that insight, regardless of how they might judge you. He already doesn't like them. I'm a dragonfly, though. So, we'll see what happens. I'm getting that there's a diplomatic way to handle it, though. Maybe next time.